some of the other territories that you worked before AWA? I think I knew you worked for Joe Dusick down in Omaha, right?
Yeah, so I worked for Joe Dusick, yes, as it was Rene Goulet at the time. That was in 1964, I guess. Yeah, I worked for Joe Dusick, very good promoter, very nice man, and that's what also the like of Reggie Parks and different. Maurice was there at the time, came back from Oregon, and they make him the world champion at that time.
And you also went down to Texas too, right?
I worked almost every territory in the country.
Wow.
I went to from there to Omaha. I came back in Minneapolis. I went to Texas.
Was that for the
Dallas? Went to Dallas. From Dallas, I went to Florida. I went back to Minneapolis, California for a few shots, Hawaii for about a couple of months, Australia. I have been all over the damn world.
Let's talk about Texas for a little bit. When you went down there, was it for the Funks? Or was it for
No,
Fritz?
the time I was in Dallas. I went for the Funk too. The first time I went, I worked for the old man Funks.
Right.
In 1965. Dory, the father.
Senior.
I worked for him. He was a promoter. That time his son, Dory Jr., was, he was working. And then that's when his son, Terry, broke in the business. Matter of fact, I had like a second or third match. It was a babyface match. The old man Funk with Terry against me and Doug Gilbert.
Wow.
And with a babyface match. And I told the old man Funk, I said, babyface match. And how are we going to get any heat on that, And he want us to just do the wrestling like the good guys, He said, don't worry, kid. He said the thing, he had a good mind in the business.
Right.
The Dory Funk was a good mind. And that didn't work, And that's what I worked, From then I went to San Francisco after that.
Was that for
Roy Shire?
Okay. And out there you worked with guys like Pat Patterson, I believe, Ray Stevens.
Pat Patterson. I had my partner was Jim Hades. For a few shots, we worked the Cal Palace main event there against Steven and Patterson.
What are some of your early memories of those guys?
Pardon me?
What are some of your early memories of Pat Patterson and Ray Stevens?
They were a great team together. They were a great team, they were the top guys up there. Ray Stevens was a fabulous worker when he was younger. At the time, he was very good, excellent, And then I stayed there for a while, and then I went to Portland, Oregon.
Don Owens?
You know what was my problem in those days? Because I couldn't do an interview. My English is not perfect. I know that, but I for some reason I was no good on the interview. I couldn't, because I had to translate everything. Like something in French, and I got to put him in French and then switch him, and he was tough. That's what it set me back a little bit. Otherwise, I would do maybe much better in that business.
Also in California, I think Kaninsky was there. Donnelly, Jonathan.
No, they were not in San Francisco.
Okay, where were they at?
The Kaninsky is from Jonathan was up north. That was you're talking about on that the Kaninsky and Donnelly Jonathan for at Seattle, Washington, and Vancouver, Canada. That's after Portland, Oregon.
Okay, when you were in Portland, who was the promoter at the time?
Don Owens.
Okay.
Yeah, Don Owens is a good promoter. And at the time, the reason why I went up there, because they needed guys, a star for and they didn't have the TVs at the time in Portland. But the deal was that he was supposed to get the TV back like in a couple months, which he never did. And I went there and worked. I was working. That's why I met Mr. Fuji there.
Right.
In Oregon. And then Stan Stasiak was there. Who else was there? Al Casey. He was going to be doing that thing tonight.
Right.
There. Young guys at the time, you should see him. He looks fabulous. The guys in great shape and all that. But then I worked there that territory, and then after this thing there with Owen, then I said, well, I got to do something. Then I went to Seattle and Vancouver, worked for Rod Fenton in Vancouver.
Talk about Don Owens as a promoter. Was he a good promoter?
Yeah, well, he was different. This guy was unbelievable. He's if it meant, for instance, you have a payoff, he give you $35.45.
Huh.
Gave you $35.45.
Wow.
One time, me and Don Jardine, I don't know if
I've heard of him.
Heard him now. Don Jardine. He came to Oregon after he had a fight with the old man Funk in Amarillo, Texas. You know, in the dressing room, because of the payoff and all that. But down, me and Jardine was working. At the time, he was Don Jardine. He was not the Mets guy and all that. He paid us with a 34, all in change.
Wow.
You have no TV or nothing, you know.
Right.
That was hard to draw anything.
You talked a little bit earlier on about Terry Funk just breaking into business. What are some of your early memories of Terry Funk?
Terry Funk was a crazy guy then anyway. You know, he always did. He used to go to school and there, and his father was training him and Dory. You know, they were family and everything. And I remember one time he came back after, in Amarillo, Texas. One time he was working with somebody in a single match, and he came back in the dressing room. He thought he did good. His dad to come on. He said, "Come on here." He said, "It's not the way that you punch a guy." He grabbed him and he punched him and knocked him right on the mouth,
Wow.
like as hard as he could too. He said, "The next time you know when you're in the ring."
Wow.
That's what. And he was wild. He was very wild.
Also, when you were working with Don Owens' promotion up there in Portland, you ran into Mr. Fuji. Do you have any good Mr. Fuji stories from that time?
Yeah, Mr. Fuji. I got him. That was in 1966. Fuji used to live downtown Portland in a hotel. That time he was coming from Hawaii. You know, he didn't have any cars, and I think that. When we're a little group together, we travel together. Then Fuji we liked him, when we get along good with him, and we travel with him. But he was not wild like he'd been when he came to New York, and,
right?
Do some rhythm. He was a nice guy. We traveled with him and all that, And he told me, I always remember. He said, "If you ever come to Hawaii," he said, "I'm going to take care of you." He said, "Remember that." And a couple of years after that, I went to work in Hawaii in 68 before I go to Australia. And I told Fuji that I was going up there, and he took care of me.
Right.
He knew everybody up there. He was a big gun up there.
Huh. When you went over to Australia, was that for Barnett or was that for...
Yeah, Barnett. Yeah.
What are your memories of Jimmy?
An asshole.
Why is that?
Because first of all, if he didn't like you, you'd be out of there. It doesn't matter if you come from the other side of the world or wherever. What I did I had a problem with that guy there. The first time I met him in Minneapolis in the office with Vern Gagne, Vern Gagne was partnered with him some kind of promotion. And I went to the office to get my payoff, one day. And I come there, and here come with Barnett, and the other guy was a promoter from Detroit, Johnny Doyle. They were promoting together in Australia. And he used to talk like, "Oh, my boy," shit.
Everybody does that impression.
And I didn't know the guys.
Right.
I didn't know the guys. I work in the office. Jim Barnett with me. And I'm young. It's my first territory. I didn't know what the hell he's in. I was not impolite. I introduced myself. Bernie said, "One of those." And, I get out of their meeting. And anyway, I worked a few different territories after that. And then Vern said, "I will send you to Florida." In front of Barnett when Barnett was there. I said, "Okay." Then again, now they booked me in Australia. Give me a date like, that was like in October or something like that, maybe, or November. Give me a date in November, or maybe December. More likely December. I finish up with Vern in Minneapolis, and my wife. I want to bring my wife with me to Australia, and I had my daughter, and I sent my daughter back home in Quebec, to live with my sister because I didn't want to make that trip there, and then I booked myself in San Francisco and I went to Australia. I'm waiting for my damn tickets in Minneapolis. No tickets, no plane tickets. One morning I called him in Australia. I called him. I got him like it was 7 o'clock. I said, Jimmy, I said, what's the matter? I said, you didn't send my ticket. Oh, my boy. He said, I changed my mind. It says, the business is not too good during the holiday here. And I like to. I said, listen, Jim Barnett, I said, if you pay me all the expense that I went through, I left my apartment here in Minneapolis, and I sent my daughter back home and everything like that. I said, that's going to cost you a lot of money to pay me for that damn thing. Oh, my boy. He said, okay, then he said, you come and you start in December, toward the end of December, before Christmas or something like that. Finally, I had booked myself in San Francisco and Shire on a way down there, work the Cow Palace, and then to go to Hawaii with Francis. Then finally go to San Francisco and in Hawaii. He said he was supposed to send my tickets in Hawaii. I'm waiting. I'm going to Hawaii and I'm working for Francis there. I work for a month for him until I go to Australia, waiting for my damn tickets. Again, no tickets. And I was ready to go like a couple of days from now. I got on the phone. I called him up there. I said, Barnett, I said, I haven't get my tickets now. Oh, my boy, I forget. He said, goes to the Qantas airline, and you're going to get your tickets up there. And then I went up there a couple of days after that. Tickets is there. But he didn't know I was bringing my wife with me, that I was bringing my friend in Australia. Because you know what Barnett was.
Yeah.
He didn't want to, the boys come in and have a problem with the wife. And when he find out, when this guy came and picked me up at the airport in Sydney, with my wife, he called Barnett right away. And he said, Rene is with his wife. He got pissed off. He wanted to send me back.
Wow.
Finally, I worked Australia for 3 months. And from there, and he came back again and told me, he said, that I was finished. And then he said, he said, Ed Francis wants you real bad in Hawaii. He said, you should go up there. I said, Jim, I don't believe you. Well, he said, grab the phone called Francis. Francis said, come back here. When he was talking, they were doing business between the two. Then I went back with Francis, and I stayed there for another couple months or something like that.
Watch thousands of exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.